Yo, 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 what up? I want to react to comedian leaves Oxford Union speechless. And I noticed some of these Oxford speeches are kind of dope too, right? So Jordan Peterson did one too, and I've seen a few other ones, right? And I like it because they do have like well-rounded with left-leaning and right-leaning people. Sometimes they have their little debates too, so that's cool. But let's take this in.
You will not know this, but I was supposed to be the first non-student speaker for the proposition. I've now been the fourth, which means that I now have to thank all the previous speakers for making my best points for me. And I find that the main reason now that I have left to be in support of the motion is that I am so tired of talking about woke culture. That's why it's gone too far, more than anything else. And I thank the other speakers for making the points for me, because it means I don't have to reiterate the point that no, free speech is not some right-wing reframing of whatever. It's the foundation of Western civilization.
Shit, I gotta pause that, but that is the foundation of Western civilization. I mean, not necessarily though, because we just got free speech more recently, right? Not like you could say anything in ancient Greece. You know what I mean? In the Hellas or whatever they call themselves, the Helios period, the Hellenistic. You know what I'm talking about? I doubt free speech. I mean, definitely we explored thought. We explored in secret a lot of these intellectuals, right? They had like Galileo. What? When did they threaten to kill him, or did they kill him? I don't know, but all I'm saying is that it's definitely the driving force behind the advances of Western civilization is being able to question, right? So, but look at science now. Even fuck the woke culture. Even science, it's like you can't even question people's genders anymore because I guess everything's just set in stone now. Biology is malleable or some dumb shit like that. Gender is malleable. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to imply, but let's go.
Upon this civilization is built and the Enlightenment values that led to it. I don't have to make the point that has been made by far better people in the past, that the only way to deal with the problem of racism is to treat people on the content of their character and nothing else. And the fact that woke culture seeks to overturn that is a new form of racism that we must all oppose.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Like you look at these wokies, and they're talking about having safe spaces for certain ethnicities, which is basically segregation. Talking about putting certain groups above others on some hierarchical, intersectionist oppression Olympics, they call it, right? Like, it's crazy, man. And all they do is seek to divide. And they openly say this. But because it's socially accepted to hate on certain groups, like white men or whatever in general, then it's like we overlook this shit. Like it's groundbreaking to even say the shit. And it's just such basic information. But anyways.
It means also I will not use this opportunity to say I told you so, as someone who spent the last 5 years warning people in the West that if we continue to erode our culture, if we continue to undermine our confidence in Western values, that our enemies.
Homeboy got some dark eyes, though. Some sleepless nights writing the speech. Adderall or some shit. I don't know what these guys be doing, but
enemies like
these student types
like Vladimir Putin will seek to capitalize on it. I will not make any of those points tonight. At all. Instead, I am not going to talk to those of you who already agree with me, which I imagine is most of you. I'm not going to talk to you because I imagine after everything you've heard tonight, you're going to vote for the proposition. I'm going to confess I will take your vote for granted. Tonight, I am the Labour Party and you are the Red Wall. Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument.
Let's hear it.
A small minority, I accept.
It's such a tragedy, too. I remember woke wasn't even like this corny-ass word, you know what I'm saying? I think it was ever since What's-His-Face did it, homeboy from Atlanta. Ever since he sang that song, it just got so, like, suburban of a word that it just became corny as fuck. Like, and I'm not the type of person to say, oh, because suburban people do it, that it's corny. That's not what I'm saying. But just that term just became so, like, radically leftist, liberal, mainstream, Regis Philbin and Kathy Griffin or whatever her name was. Like it just became that, and it's so gross now, you know.
Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational arguments, so let me make one.
It's final.
We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change.
Y'all need to care about your sugar intake, your radical intake of vegetable oils, hydrogenated vegetable oils and stuff. Focus on that first. But you worried about nature. You ain't even worried about your own body. So how can we believe you?
I'm told that many of you suffer from climate anxiety. You wish to save the planet. And for tonight, and tonight only, I will join you.
You know, when they say that these new age kids are getting climate anxiety and shit because whatever their parents have taught them or the schools and shit. And it makes me feel like a lot of anxieties are kind of like related to your childhood and shit that your parents just kind of, you know, I could think about my anxieties and they kind of, I feel like sometimes they're inexplainable, right? But I don't know. It just feels like something rooted in childhood. Like it just has never left, you know? Maybe I'm just talking out my ass, which I probably am because I'm high as fuck, but let's proceed.
I will join you in worshipping at the feet of Saint Greta of climate change. Let us all accept right here, right now, that we are living through a climate emergency and our stocks of polar bears are running extremely low. I join you in this view. I truly do. Now, what are we to do about this huge problem facing humanity? What can we in Britain do? We can only do one thing. You know what?
Beat your children. I'd beat the shit out of my kid trying to come home yelling that fucking hippie purple hair bullshit.
Why? This country
I'm just kidding.
is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions, which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change.
This is very true.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America.
Oof.
By poor people.
I didn't even know that Latin America's carbon footprint or whatever they call it was that great. Like I knew China for sure, or Asia, whatever he said. I think he said Asia, but he might have said China. But I think Asia pertains to India too, right? Which is, of course, boom, they're all just, you know, fuck, smog shows.
People who couldn't give a shit about saving the planet. No, thank you. No, thank you.
What that dude say? What that motherfucker say? Let's find this out.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
What is he saying? Point of information? No more information. What?
It's going to be decided by poor people in Asia and Latin America who don't care about saving the planet. You know why? Because they're poor. Because they're poor. I come from Russia, which is not a poor country. It's a middle-income country. 20%.
I guess it is. I didn't know that, but I just feel like when they show images of Russia, it's like some Moscow fucking Zangief, you know, shack houses in the winter type, you know? But then they show the Russian baddies too, right? But in apartments and condos and shit. But that's like city life, I feel like, you know, I don't know. But
of households in Russia do not have an indoor toilet.
Damn.
Well, they have
what percentage?
Households in Russia, which is not a poor country, it's a middle-income country. 20% of households in Russia do not have an indoor toilet.
So that means 1 in 10 bitches I might come in contact with will look at it like luxury if she used my bidet. That's fucked up. By the way, y'all, I installed a bidet the other day. It was very uncomfortable to get used to, but I got used to it. It's kind of lit.
What they have is an outdoor toilet. And I don't mean one of those nice portaloos that we get here. I don't even mean a Glastonbury portaloo.
What the fuck is a portaloo?
I mean a wooden shack with a hole in the ground.
Oh, porta potty. I don't know what they call it in the States, but in Canada they call it a porta potty. So maybe that's what he means. I'm guessing he does because a portaloo sounds very familiar. It's like a Waterloo.
That holds a collected fermented memory of the last 10,000 visits. How many of you are going to go home tonight and say, let's rip out our bathroom and erect a Siberian shithouse in the back garden?
I mean,
and if you're not, why should they? 120 million.
Are you saying that these woke idiots are very, very, very hypocritical and have no idea what the fuck they're talking about on a grand universal scale? I don't beg to differ.
Billion people in China do not have enough food. I don't mean that they don't get dessert.
Oh.
I mean they suffer from malnutrition.
No dessert.
That means that their immune system
No
is
Cherry
breaking down
Garcia?
because they don't have enough food. You're not going to get them to stay poor. Imagine you're Xi Jinping, the leader of China. When you were 10 years old, there was a revolution, a cultural revolution in your country, and people came and they put your father in prison. Your mother had to denounce him. Your sister killed herself. And you, no longer enjoying the protection of your formerly powerful father, were sent to a village where you lived in a cave house. And here you are, decades later. You have clawed your way up the bloody and greasy pole of Chinese politics to be the undisputed supreme leader of the very Communist Party that destroyed your family.
Yo, I didn't know it was that deep for Xi Jinping. For a second, I'm like, is this guy just telling some kind of story? Like, and then I was like, oh shit, he's telling the story of Xi Jinping. Like, I don't know if that's a true story. You don't know with these communist countries and even the capitalist countries, even our countries, you know, they got all kinds of propaganda stories and shit that are bullshit, you know, that go unchecked. So I doubt they'd be checking Xi Jinping if he made a bullshit story up. But if that's a true story, that's wild. That's fucking wild. Like that gives me a whole new perspective on him. Like deadass, it gives me a new respect for him, you know.
And you know that the main thing you have to do to survive and to stay in power is to deliver the one thing that the people of China
need. And that is food.
And want prosperity.
I was close.
Economic growth. Where do you think climate change ranks on Xi Jinping's list of priorities?
I mean, isn't China doing that whole, I'm guessing it's not on the top of his priorities, but I mean, look at China financially is unrivaled though. Let's be real. Like, who's fucking with China right now? You know what I'm saying? Not on we got inherited all this oil level like Saudi Arabia or something. I mean more like we came from the bottom level, you know? No one's fucking with China right now, so yeah, I lost my train of thought.
A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India. That means
tragic.
They are starving and dying of
That's fucking tragic.
preventable disease. Now, about 15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school.
Whew. Not me, because we old school.
And for 9 months, we
I
talked.
guess that's why they call this trigonometry. So this is not, this is the Oxford Union, okay. Who is this guy? A comedian? The way he was coming off earlier, I thought he was like some kind of like professor or some kind of student there. I don't know. He looked kind of young, so I don't
Talked about what our boy would look like, what he might do when he grows up. We looked at baby scans and videos on YouTube about what the fetus looks like at 9 months and 12 months and 20 months. And eventually he was born. And he...
Shout out to anyone who has kids, though. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be able to sit there and look at those little computer devices, and it's in your baby mama's stomach, and she's just like, or your wife's stomach, and she's just like, you see the baby breathing and shit. I couldn't imagine what that stuff's like, but yeah, shout out to y'all.
He is this cute little bundle of joy. He's cuter than about 80% of puppies, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you said to me that I had a choice, either my son had a serious risk of starving or dying from a preventable disease in the next year.
Damn.
Or I could press a button and he would live. He would go to school. He would bring his first girlfriend home.
He'd
go to university and graduate and become a woke idiot. And then he'd get a job and get married and have children and become a man. But all I have to do is press this button. And for every day of my son's life, a giant plume of CO2 is going to get released into the atmosphere. Now, you're all very young.
But what's causing the CO2, I hear a lot of the vegans try to argue that it's cow farts, and it's like, before the Industrial Revolution and all, and our farming and agriculture and all this, like, animals and ruminants, they just roamed. Like, what was stopping them? Like, what was really killing them off? Like, look at the buffaloes in North America, right? They say they were in the millions and millions. Why wasn't their farts ruining the ozone layer? Like, are they the only animal whose farts ruin the ozone layer? Are there other ruminants that cause that, or other mammals that cause that? If so, why aren't they destroying the ozone layer? I don't know. It sounds like a cop-out answer to stop us from eating meat, but I ain't gonna give up my steaks, especially my ribeyes.
And most of you are not parents. Let me tell you something. There is not a parent in the world who would not smash that button so hard their hand bled. You are not going to get these people to stay poor. You're not even going to get them to not want to be richer.
If you want them to stay poor, you just got to, just do whatever your government tells you to do without question, because they love taking resources. But hey, what do I know?
And so, I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one thing we can do in this country to stop climate change, and that is to make scientific and technological breakthroughs that will create the clean energy that is not only clean, but also cheap. And no, thank you. And the only, I want everyone to get home on energy that is not only clean, but also cheap. And no, thank you. And the only, I want everyone to get home on time today, which is not going to happen. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings.
And then the funny thing is, a lot of them don't even have any like valid arguments. Like, arguing with them always boils down to their feelings. You know, for a lot of people that claim to be atheists, a lot of time, or agnostic or spiritual, they use a lot of religious arguments and religious tactics. You know, because it always boils down to feelings at the end of the day. None of it is objective. It can't be, because a lot of this shit is crushed with questioning, you know, with further questioning. So they try to stop you from asking questions. They try to stop you from debating. They try to shut you down, shut down your speech, shut down your social media, right? And I know I'm just going on a fucking another rant, but let me finish this off, I guess. What do you say?
To throw soup on paintings. And we on this side of the house are not on this side of the house because we do not wish to improve the world. We sit on this side of the house because we know that the way to improve the world is to work, is to create, it is to build.
Okay.
And the problem with woke culture is that it's trained too many young minds like yours to forget about that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of fire. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that was fire. I don't even know who that dude is. What's his name? I'm gonna look up his name just to shout him out. Konstantin Kisin, speaking at the Oxford Union for the motion. Sorry, I'm actually gonna click on his name. I want to see if there's any further information on him. So I've never heard of this dude before. He's a Russian-British satirist, podcaster, author, and political commentator. Kisin has written for a number of publications, including Quillette, The Spectator, The Daily Telegraph. Now I'm curious what his podcast name is, but I'll look that up later, you know. But hey, man, that's pretty cool. So I don't know if y'all are really into politics. For those who are, what up? Write something in the comments, you know. All right, peace.